The South African court has ruled that a decision by the government to withdraw from the International Criminal Court is unconstitutional. The judges say the government must consult Parliament before taking such action. South Africa began to pull out in October. Its decision came after the ICC ruled South Africa violated the law by not arresting Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir while he was visiting the country. Well, let's cross live now to Tsidi Bishop, who's been following that court case from Johannesburg. Hi, Tsidi. Does this come as a shock to the government then, as it seemed, to them at least, that their decision was actually final?
I don't think the government is shocked at all because in a couple of days before the court proceedings, it did indicate that the Democratic Alliance, the main opposition party, by taking it to court, it is acting prematurely because this process is still with Parliament, meaning that the government was very much aware that it has to consult the National Assembly before it can actually voice its intention to withdraw from the International Court. I think because of that, the government may not have been shocked, but I think what may have come as a shock would have been the fact that one party had decided actually to take the matter to court. This would have been normally something that would have been debated in Parliament, or the opposition parties may have made noises, and the country may have made a noise, or even neighboring countries may have made noise, but the government did not actually expect it to land in court. This is why it made pronouncements that the actions were quite premature.
So what happens now? Can the government actually appeal this decision, or will it go straight to a parliamentary vote, and what will Parliament do?
I don't think the government may appeal this. Stand to be corrected there, because there are many legal procedures that are valid in this country. But I think what the government may do, may take this time to reflect, to go to Parliament and National Assembly to debate this thing and see if it can win there. If it has a majority there that supports its intention to withdraw from the International Court, it may decide to do so. It could decide to do so, because if you look at the reasons that it put forward to withdraw from the International Court, it's because it feels like African countries are always put on the spot to arrest leaders that have violated human rights, which is something of a contradiction for South Africa, because the South African Constitution champions human rights. So the country or the government, if it decides that it feels validated, it feels powered to be in a situation where it wants to withdraw from the International Criminal Court, it may have to go through the right channels rather than challenging the courts itself. Because if you look at the verdict today, I don't think there's any other court that will find in its favor.
Tsidi, can you give us a better sense of how ordinary South Africans feel, not just about this ruling, but about South Africa's role in the ICC?
The South Africans are always divided on these matters like these, because South Africans are now finding themselves having to decide whether they are for Africa or they support what happens internationally, mainly because they feel like what happens, especially where international rulers, especially where international governments are involved, they feel like African countries are shortchanged. When this matter arose, they believe that if this was fair, many of the European leaders who are seen to have violated human rights should have been arrested, or European countries should have been forced in a similar situation as South Africa, where leaders that have violated human rights should have been arrested by other countries. But they believe those who they believe have violated human rights do not get arrested. But African leaders are always forced to arrest their own peers. But there are those who believe that we are a human rights country, a country that upholds human rights. Our constitution is based on protection of human rights. If we're going to not stand by African countries and African people whose rights are violated day and night, we are actually we are moving our powers, we are moving what we stand for, we are actually denying them what they believed in us to do. They were hopeful that South Africa has a very liberal constitution. Because of its liberal constitution, it will always be for countries like the Sudan, like the Central Africa, where human rights are violated daily, where they will find some kind of solace and protection.
Tsidi Bishop, thank you so much for joining us with that live from Johannesburg.